The U.S. Marine Corps has begun issuing better fitting and lighter protective vests. MCSC, or Marine Corps Systems Command, said in a statement that the Plate Carrier Generation 3 vest can be easily adapted for different missions and removed and reassembled in seconds. It added that when paired with protective plates, the overall system guards against bullets and fragmentation. The statement added that tests of a prototype of the new vest, which is around 25% lighter than the legacy system, showed that it also significantly reduces fatigue in the field. Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Kanicki, Program Manager for Infantry Combat Equipment at MCSC, said, "When you lighten the load, Marines can get to their destinations faster, and they're going to have more endurance, which increases their lethality." Lieutenant Colonel Brian Leahy of the Individual Armor Team at MCSC stated that by eliminating excess bulk and cutting out the shoulders to allow for a better fit for rifle stock, the new system also improves Marines' ability to shoot and move. The statement said that nearly 15,000 more Marines, male and female, will be able to fit into the new body armor, which is available in more sizes than the legacy system. It further explained that closer fit to the body provides increased protection while reducing the risk of injury due to improper fit. This video is sponsored by War Thunder. If you are, like us, fascinated by military vehicles and technology, I recommend you give War Thunder a try. It's a military vehicle combat game which you can download and play for free on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One with cross-platform support. It has a huge variety of more than 1,200 playable aircraft, tanks, helicopters, and ships from the 1930s to the 1990s, which you can take to battle on land, in the air, and at sea on more than 80 theaters of war. War Thunder's been kind enough to offer All Defense Updates viewers a special bonus, which will grant you a free premium tank, aircraft, or ship, and 3 days of premium account time for registering using our link in the description below. So take the plunge and join more than 20 million players from around the world. Royal Australian Navy has announced that flight trials of new MH-60R ROMEO maritime multi-role helicopters aboard the service's largest warship, landing helicopter dock LHD vessel HMAS Adelaide will commence shortly. HMAS Adelaide left its home port in Sydney to conduct the flight trials off the coast of Queensland. According to an RAN statement, the trials will determine the safe operating limits of the ROMEO helicopters on the LHD in a range of sea states and wind speeds at both day and night. The commanding officer of the Adelaide, Captain Jonathan Lay, said, "The results will provide a new standard of operational capability, informing how Navy can employ the MH-60R and LHD together in the future to increase both lethality in combat and responsiveness during humanitarian assistance and disaster relief tasks." Viewers may note that MH-60R helicopters deploy Mark 54 torpedoes for anti-submarine warfare (ASW) missions and can also carry APKWS 70mm laser-guided rockets and AGM-114 Hellfires for use against small surface combatants and land targets. As reported, U.S. Air Force F-22 Raptors, supported by KC-135 Stratotankers and E-3 AWACS aircraft, responded to a pair of Russian military ILYUSHIN Tu-38N ASW anti-submarine warfare and maritime patrol aircraft off the Alaskan coast in international airspace. The Russian Navy ILYUSHIN Tu-38N were escorted and monitored during routine North American Air Defense Command (NORAD) surveillance of the Alaskan Air Defense Identification Zone and were met by the USAF F-22s over the Bering Sea north of Alaska's remote Aleutian Islands. USAF General Terrence O'Shaughnessy, commander of the U.S. Northern Command and North American Aerospace Defense Command, said that USAF F-22s escorted them in. They ended up about 50 to 60 miles off the ADAC, Arctic Domain Awareness Center. The general concluded by telling reporters, "We don't have any vulnerabilities, we're prepared." The Russians issued a statement saying the aircraft activity was part of a planned training exercise by Russian forces that began in the region on March 30th. Reports have emerged that for several weeks, China has been hounding Indonesian fishing vessels in the Indonesian waters off the Natuna Islands. Chinese fishing fleets, with the support of armed Chinese Coast Guard ships, have been encroaching into areas that Indonesia considers exclusive. Indonesian fishermen are reportedly disturbed that the government in Jakarta is not doing anything to protect them. Negesti Uni Saprapti, the deputy regent of the Natuna archipelago, said, "There was a vacant period, then China came back. Our fishermen feel scared." China's belligerent behavior, including military maneuvers and large-scale deployment of military assets in the middle of the global crisis, is an indication of its heavy-handed, corrosive tactics. Even during a time when the world is grappling with a crisis that's blamed on China itself, it's using its strategy known as salami slicing that aims for the slow accumulation of small tactical changes. Viewers may note that with this strategy, China has occupied several islands and pushed these smaller neighbors to the back foot. German firearms manufacturer HECKLER & KOCH has shipped the first batch of its new M110A1 SDMR, or Squad-Designated Marksman rifles, to the U.S. Army. The company stated that between 5,000 and 6,000 of the new rifles will be delivered to the Army through mid-2021. The new weapons system will replace modified M16s and 1950s-era M14s, which have been used in conflicts in Afghanistan and the Middle East. The SDMR is a variant of HECKLER & KOCH's gas-operated G28 gun, chambered with 7.62mm NATO rounds and equipped with a suppressor. The company said that HECKLER & KOCH will also provide spare parts, support, and training. Viewers may note that each infantry squad has a designated marksman whose main task is to engage targets accurately out to about 600 meters that can't be engaged by troops having other service rifles. So basically, SDMR extends the reach of each infantry unit beyond that of service rifles. Indian Army carried out a precision strike to destroy terrorist launch pads in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir (POK) in response to the continuous violation of the ceasefire by its army. Releasing the aerial footage of the army destroying the terror launch pads, it said that an ammunition dump of the Pakistan Army had also been destroyed. According to IANS report, the Indian Army used a battery of artillery guns to target an artillery formation across the line of control that was being used by Pakistan for indiscriminate targeting of defense and civilian facilities. Reports have emerged that Pakistan has been continuously violating the ceasefire by shelling mortars in Jammu and Kashmir, and this strike was retaliation against that. Sources indicate that drones were used to pinpoint the location of the targets before the operation, and drones were also used to capture the footage of the hit. The U.S. Navy stated that lead ship of Ford-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS Gerald R. Ford, CVN-78, has conducted tests of a number of combat systems while being in the Atlantic Ocean in March and April of this year. The tests took place as part of the carrier's post-delivery test and trials (PDT&T) phase. These validations are designed to stress Ford's combat system capabilities and validate the integration of new defense technologies. According to the U.S. Navy, the carrier's first certification of integrated combat systems tested the Air Traffic Control Radar Beacon (ATCRB) and Identification of Friend or Foe (IFF). The tests were reportedly conducted over several days and evaluated the ATCRB's ability to track air and surface contacts and to identify friendly and enemy aircraft using a sophisticated IFF system. Commander William Buell, the carrier's Combat Directions Center officer, was quoted as saying, "Sea-based development testing is a stepping stone towards Ford's Combat System Ship Qualification Trial, CSSQT, and follow-on operational tests by the Navy. Our SBDT operations ran very smoothly, which is a good indicator of future success on CSSQT."
Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.